At my school, the last 2 weeks of the year, we take a course about something we're interested in. I took a course on fast fashion. Fast fashion is making and selling clothes cheaply. These items are designed to be temporary. This is when I first discovered the documentary The True Cost that introduced me to sweatshops. But after the documentary was over, it wasn't my problem. The next year, a new project was introduced where we had to research something we were passionate about. I had 2 questions about a career path, or I could choose to research sweatshops. Now, I didn't want to be ordinary, and everyone else chose to research a career path, so I decided to research sweatshops. A sweatshop is a factory in violation of 2 or more labor laws. Labor laws include things like eligible working age, minimum wage, and building codes like fire safety. One morning, in Dhaka, Bangladesh, a garment worker looked down at the floor, and they saw cracks that weren't there before. They alerted the factory owner, and they were accused of trying to stir up trouble and sent back to work, with their concerns ignored. They were intent on their stitching, and they didn't look up in time to see all of the other workers running out of the factory until it was too late. This became known as the Rana Plaza collapse. They, like over 1,000 others that day, didn't make it out of that factory alive. According to NPR, no one discovered who was outsourcing from this factory, but the last orders to be placed are thought to have been from Mango, Children's Place, and Premier Clothing. According to my research on globalexchange.org, I found that this had caused many rebellions and strikes in Bangladesh. But they're stuck in this vicious cycle because their government must keep their wages low in order for Western brands to want to buy from them. And if Western brands don't buy from them, then it would result in an economic crisis. Here in the US, we decided that low working wages and child labor were wrong long ago, but we feed off of it from other countries. And much like the US, garment workers around the world have sought to improve their situation by organizing unions. But union organizers have been beaten, thrown in jail, and even killed. According to the True Cost, there are 40 million garment factory workers worldwide. 4 million of those are located in Bangladesh, and close to 5,000 factories working for Western brands they aren't even allowed to know the name of. 1 million of those are between the ages of 10 and 14 alone. They sell about 1,000 clothing items per day, many for less than $1 a day. Now, some of you may know this information already, but I wanted to hear what the companies had to say about it. So I emailed 10 companies, and I simply asked where their factories were located and how they kept their costs low. Of those 10 companies, I only got 1 response, and it reads, "Hello, Claire. Thank you for your email. We want all of our products to be made in a safe and humane environment. We've devoted significant amounts of time, money, and energy toward improving the lives of our factory workers and factory conditions. We take this issue extremely seriously, but due to the volume of requests we receive, we're unable to grant informational interviews or respond directly to individual requests. However, we're happy to share any information you may find helpful. Thank you for your interest in Gap Inc." The one company that dared answer my email gave me the generic diplomatic response, while others didn't take the time to answer at all. They couldn't even answer a simple question about where their factories were located. Now, some companies have actually made a large effort to better the lives of their workers. Nike and H&M are among 17 companies that committed to adhere to a transparency pledge by the end of 2017. Other companies have committed to publish the names and addresses of their supplier factories, while some that have no commitment to publish supplier factory information include Mango and Walmart. Nike now has a map on their website where you can see where each of their factories are located and where your clothing is coming from. I again emailed H&M to ask why they thought this agreement was important and what they were doing to achieve it. I got no response. I then emailed Walmart to ask if they had any type of system in place for people to know where their clothing comes from. Again, I got no response. While companies are slowly becoming more transparent about where their clothing comes from, Very few companies identify as fair trade. Fair trade means that they provide a fair living wage to people in third world countries. They're actually improving the lives of their workers by giving them enough money to live their life. But the fact that not many of these exist makes it hard for people who do know where their clothing comes from to know how to help when everything they use daily is produced in a sweatshop. One way of helping is demanding sweatshop-free products where you shop. If you go to a place like Walmart and buy a $1 item simply because it's cheap, 1 million other people will do the same. And if you treat it as only $1, you're not the only one that thinks that. And as demand goes up, the company's price must go down. This means that the workers will get paid less, and the company will cut corners for themselves to make more money. Your dollar has a lot of impact over the course of time because you're not the only one treating it this way. And we can all help. Another way of helping is to educate your friends. If just 1 or 2 of your friends becomes more conscious with their money, they can help hold you accountable as well. Groups largely influence how we live, and if you just get 1 or 2 people out of your circle of friends to change, it's likely that others will change with them. Because the truth is, the change has to start with us. There is no easy fix, no simple solution to this. You can buy union-made, US-made, local, or secondhand, but the most important is just to be conscious of where you're spending your money. Read the label and find out where something came from before you buy it. And ask yourself if you really need it. Many of us have things in every room of our house that we never touch or even use. But don't just donate it, because only 10% of the clothing you donate actually goes to local thrift stores. The rest goes back to the third world country it came from, and they get swamped in textiles. Instead, you can try trading with your friends or giving it to someone who you know will use it. Then you're not only helping yourself, but many others in the process. You see, when I took this course on fast fashion 2 years ago, I never imagined I'd be up here talking about it. In fact, I didn't think of the effects of what I bought much at all. The next year, when I did the project on it, I thought about it, and I even felt bad for the people who suffered from it. But I still didn't do anything about it. It was a nuisance. It was too hard. But when I was practicing my presentation for that project, someone asked me where the clothes I was wearing that day came from. They explained I'd spent 8 minutes talking about how terrible these sweatshops were, but I hadn't done anything about it. Other people halfway across the world were suffering, and the least I thought I could do for them was limit my selection of clothing. So that was the moment I decided to buy exclusively USA-made clothes. According to the Federal Trade Commission, for a product to be called made in the US, it has to be all or virtually all made in the US. All or virtually all means that all significant parts and processing are of US origin, and it contains no or no negligible foreign content. Now, even though many young people are short on money, it holds a lot of power. And even though that it may be more difficult to manage, we can make a world of difference to someone living in conditions that none of us can even imagine. And even though most of us can't vote yet, CEOs can hold just as much power as senators do. And with just $1, we can make a huge difference. We have much more power than we realize. And it's up to our generation to choose how we vote with our dollar. Which company do you want to support with your money? And with your help, it is my dream that no one will have to die for fashion again. Thank you.